Hi, and welcome to the channel. I'm Andy Walker, and we're going to be having a look today at how we paint this scene in gouache in a kind of a thick poster style where we get nice flat matte colours. So let's make a start. Here's the setup. I've drawn out the picture on Bockingford Knot watercolour paper, and I'm going to be using just 4 colours for this. We've got Spectrum Red, Yellow Ochre, Ultramarine Blue and Zinc White, and these are all Winsor & Newton Designers Gouache, and I'll put them in this ceramic palette. I've got water, got kitchen roll, got 2 brushes. I've got a round with a fine point and a 1/2 inch flat, and I've put masking tape around the edge of the picture there, so that means you can just paint on quickly and not worry about keeping the edges tidy. So the paint squeeze out into this palette. I'm using fresh paint for this because we want to get lots of paint down on the paper so that we get that lovely flat matte finish, rather than using dry paints in a pan. So it just gives a much better coverage of the paper if we do this. And I'm going to start with the sky. So just with a damp brush, not too much water involved in this mix, but just a damp brush, I'm going to mix in some blue and some white together to create the sky colour, and I'm going to lay that down. You can see how thickly it goes on. It's sort of almost a creamy consistency. It goes on well onto the paper, and just want to brush that on. Just go around some of these elements a little bit, but it doesn't matter too much if you cover over anything that's already there, because the paint is thick and opaque, and it will cover up anything that's already been painted, so you can go over things quite easily. And that's looking a little bit stripy that way, so what I can do is to then paint down the way as well, just to even out the sky, because I want to have that just nice and flat. And that really is the sky painted and finished. Now let's start with these background trees. I want a good dollop of yellow ochre mixed in with the ultramarine blue to make a nice, really dark and dull green. And I'm just using the corner of the flat brush just to put these trees in, keeping reasonably close to the lines I've drawn, and if anything going over them so that they don't show in the final picture. But what we're looking to do is to build up sort of just flat areas of colour. If you think of those old 1930s railway posters and holiday posters, that's the kind of effect in a way that we're looking at achieving with this picture. And I want to vary the trees a little bit. I want to vary the colour. We don't want them all the same colour, so I'm just putting in little bits of different things in there, a little bit more white in some of them, a little bit more yellow ochre in others, just to create that feel as if we've got different trees up there, and just to make it more interesting. Those in the background are lighter and bluer. You see on the picture there's quite a few trees there, but we're just simplifying that down really. This tree in the front we're going to do with 2 colours. It's got some lighter areas on it, which is coming in with a sort of a lighter, more yellowy mix of the green, and then want to add more blue in and just make a darker colour so that we get the 2 colours blending together a little bit, and just creating a little bit more interest in this one because it's nearer us. It's more there's more detail in the tree because it's nearer the front of the picture. The ones at the back I'm going to leave just pretty much plain as they are. Now to the castle itself, and I've mixed up a colour here for the shadowy side of it, which is the blue, a little touch of the red and a little touch of the yellow, and a little touch of the white as well, actually just to lighten it down a fraction. And that will do the blue and the red form a purpley colour. If you add the yellow ochre in, that's a little bit of the actual colour of the castle wall that comes into it, and the white just lightens it down a fraction. And as we paint the different shadowed areas in, I just want to change them a little bit. I don't want all the shadows to be the same colour, so the one on the left hand side is darker, and as we're moving across we're just lightening them, making them a little bit more yellow, just bringing variety into those lines of the shadowed side on the castle. So for the one on the right there, just again make it a little bit lighter, a little bit more yellowy. And just using the little round brush for this to paint those areas in, and the arch there as well is in shadow. Now for the light side, the lit side of the castle, again just adding more white into the mix, making it a lot lighter, and needing to come in just with the very tip of the brush here, just to put in some of those little tiny castellations there where the light is catching the top of those little marks. And just carefully painting in the whole of the front of the castle. And now with a bigger brush and with pretty much a similar mix, I'm going to put this light path in that's leading up to it. It's a little bit grayer, this mix. Mixing a little bit more of the blue in with it, just to grey it down a bit. And just paint in the whole of this path. You can see that as the layers dry, they go very matte, and that's just a really nice effect. That's something you can do with gouache, which obviously you can't do with watercolour in the same way. It's a completely different effect really, especially painting in this way, where we're looking at large flat areas. So a bit of yellow ochre mixed in with the white, and we'll put it in the soil. This is where I'm deviating a little bit from the colours and things that are going on in the picture, just to make it a bit more interesting as a painting. The photograph really is just a starting point for us to create a nice painting. Don't need to be a slave to it. The windows in the castle are a bit of a focal point really. They sort of draw the eye. So we're just going to put those in, just make those quite neat and quite dark, and they will just draw the eye up there. And then there's a lovely shadow under this tree, which is quite important, just to anchor it into the ground. So put that in. There's a walkway, or I'm not quite sure what it is at the back there. There's a dark line anyway, which again leads us up to the castle. There's an old bin there as well, but I'm not going to put that in, just leave that out. And for these grasses, I'm just going to put a few in, just a few sort of marks. It's just to liven up these flat areas. We don't want it that flat, even though we're doing a poster style. We want to be able to bring in some other bits and pieces so of interest. So I'm just adding in these grasses in the front there, and this tree at the back is just a bit flat and a bit boring, so it has got some real darks in it in the photograph. So I've made an even darker mix of colour, and I'm putting that in just to give it a bit more form, a bit more interest. But we're kind of really approaching the end of the painting, so I need to be careful about how much detail I put in now. I just want to keep it fairly simple. It's very easy just to put in too much and to go way over the top, but just stand back every now and again, look at your painting and see what it needs and what it doesn't need, and know when to stop. Not that easy. This light line across here will just draw the eye again up to the castle, and with that I think we're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have, please sign up to the channel and watch more of my videos.